Hey everyone, it's Sonia here. As you know, Trudeau had invoked this Emergency Measures Act, which was what replaced the War Measures Act. Well, I know a lot of people have said, well, it's not martial law because you don't have troops in the street. But what it does do is that it takes away the power from the provinces and gives it to the federal government. So now the federal government can make decisions regarding stuff that goes on in the provinces. So it's like taking our power away, taking our sovereignty, our independence away as provinces. So it is very concerning. It's just more focusing of power on Justin Trudeau and his cabinet. So today was a very sad day because not only do we have the Emergency Measures Act, but today was really the day of the crackdown on the protesters in Ottawa. And on top of that, Parliament has been suspended. They said for the safety of the parliamentarians. I'm going to take you through the events starting about yesterday when they started their crackdown to where we're at tonight, the 18th. I'll tell you, I feel like the police and the way they've been treating the protesters is like they're trying to intentionally incite the protesters to violence. It's like they're trying to really fuel this problem. I'm going to show you some footage. You're going to see for yourself. For one thing, the Ottawa police on their horses trampled protesters, and it looked like they did it on purpose. So the Ottawa police didn't really want to do the job. I had heard that about half of them had quit. The chief of police, slowly, he had quit. There was a replacement for him, interim chief, quit after 2 days. So what Trudeau did was he brought in troops, cops from everywhere. So the Sûreté du Québec, OPP, Toronto Police. The first thing that the police did before they really moved in was they delivered this notice to the truckers and everyone who was at the protest saying they need to leave the area now, and pretty much telling them that there were going to be consequences if they didn't. At that time, Patrick King and the other organizers had put out live streams saying, don't worry about it, hold the line, stay where you are, they won't hurt you. People were filmed throwing these notices in the garbage. I don't know if you realize this, but if you receive a notice and you don't respond to it in writing, then you're considered to have accepted it. So if you receive a notice and you put it in the garbage, it's like you accepted it. I'm not sure how you'd respond to this. I don't know, quickly grab yourself. Maybe the organizers could have grabbed themselves a notary and sent a notice back, but they didn't. So those notices are considered, as being accepted. Anyhow, people didn't take them seriously. They even set up a toilet to put them in. Meanwhile, truckers were discovering that their banks had frozen their accounts. Under the Emergency Act, anyone who donated to or participated in the convoy could have their funds frozen.
So that is the government, our Prime Minister, declaring his War Measures Act, the Desperate Measures Act, and freezing my account and many others.
Yesterday evening, February 17th, the OPP said that had set up a perimeter around Centertown and had closed off nearby access to and from the 417. So it had become impossible pretty much to get into Ottawa. So here's the perimeter that they set up. They, basically surrounded this area. So yesterday evening, they arrested Tamara Lich. So this was their plan. It was to secure this area, bring in a ton of cops, and then set about arresting all the main organizers one after the other. So Tamara was arrested, and Chris Barber had been arrested earlier in the evening when a police car pulled up behind him and two officers called out his name and handcuffed him. Next, they also arrested Daniel Bulford, former RCMP officer. Okay, so there's Daniel getting arrested. Daniel Bulford, former RCMP. So that's how they had moved in, all these police in place, and then they set about taking the organizers down one at a time. So there's Daniel, and Pat King was next.
You're under arrest, sir.
For what?
For mischief, counseling to commit the offense of mischief, counseling to commit the offense of obstruct police officer, and counseling to commit the offense of disobey court orders. Would you please step out of the vehicle, sir?
I'd like to get my lawyer on the phone right away.
So after that, there were a lot of people live streaming throughout the day. There were a lot of cops from all these different areas. The Quebec ones actually are the stormtroopers with the black uniform and the sort of German-looking helmet, you know, kind of penis head helmet. And it was still largely peaceful. I mean, it was peaceful, certainly on the part of the protesters. So there they are. They were still singing "Oh Canada" all day, and basically just doing what they'd been doing on the weekend, minus the partying.
You guys don't have to do it, officers. You don't have to do it. They're not. Kids are gonna ask what you did for freedom. Was they say you stood against it and arrested peaceful people? What your oath?
Then they started to move in with more force.
Non, mais je vais te montrer, là. Je vais te montrer qu'est-ce qui se passe. J'essaie de m'inverser. Il y en a partout autour de nous.
He said they're everywhere all around us.
Mais ils n'ont pas arrêté.
Uh-oh.
Got your chance to get out now, or this drag
Smash
out?
the window.
Get out of the car. Go to the car. Arrest.
Turn your
They're not
vehicle
playing.
off. Do it now. Turn your vehicle off. Do it now.
In the car, you're under arrest. Okay, I'm going out.
Unlock the door. Do it now.
Wait.
Vehicle first. Under arrest.
So yeah, they were not playing, and they at that point they were really starting to use whatever means they had to get people out of the trucks. Also, a veteran was arrested. You can see him there with his green cap, and the police, you know, surrounding him and bringing him down. And in the end, there was a whole bunch of them on top of him. So what happened next, now this was probably the most awful part of the whole day. And this was live streamed by Jim Kerr on Facebook. It's just like a kind of standoff at this point. Some protesters were more peaceful than others, but I mean, none of them, you know, attacked the police or anything like that. So here's another group of cops, different uniform. Then you got the ones with the yellow in the back. See their black uniform here, green uniform here, yellow in the back, and this armored vehicle. Actually, these guys with the yellow, and they're on horseback. So that brings me to the next thing I was going to show you. So Newsweek actually reported on this. Video appears to show police horses trampling Canadian trucker protesters. Funny how they use the word appears. I mean, I saw the footage, and I'd say it's pretty much 100% that that's exactly what happened. So this was from Twitter. No violence until the Ottawa police showed up. Horses trampled people. Wait, here come the police. And what I saw in the footage was the guy says, "Oh, here they come again." And the people try to move out of the way, but it's like the cops on their horses made it impossible. So if the people parted this way, the cops went into where the people were. They didn't go where there was a space. I'm going to show you some of this footage on Twitter. So here it is. Here they come.
Oh, come on through. Come on through. What is happening here? Wow. What is this lady doing? Trampling. Trampling horses. Trampling. Stop it. Stop it. Look. Oh my God. They just trampled this lady. They just trampled that lady.
Yeah, they really did.
They just fully trampled that lady. They just fully trampled that lady.
So this is where it gets tense. The protesters were really upset.
Yeah, the lady got fully trampled on a horse. What the fuck is wrong with you? You just got crushed by a horse.
That's what a lot of people were saying. What are you doing? You know, what's wrong with you? and they pointed out that one of the people who got knocked down was an elderly lady with a walker. It says here, the protesters continued their assaultive behavior with the police line. To prevent an escalation or further injury, mounted officers were sent in to create critical space between the police line and protesters. That is not what I saw when I saw the live stream. The protesters were not attacking the officers or encroaching. There's just a big crowd, and there's police on one side of this crowd and protesters on the other. And it basically, people were still seeming kind of relaxed. They were just sort of chit-chatting. It wasn't really that tense until the police moved in. I mean, you can go see the whole footage from Jim Kerr. Here's some footage from when the police cleared the border at Coutts, Alberta. How that this was without the Emergency Act. So how come that went so well? And then today with the Emergency Act, what we had was this.
Wow, what is this lady doing? Trampling horses. Trampling. Stop it.
Oh my gosh! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
It's horrible.
Look what you did to her! Look what you did to her! Look what you did to her! You trampled!
It doesn't look like it's helping, this Emergency Act. It looks like it's making things worse. Yeah, even if they had used their police on horses to try to make a space in the crowd, it doesn't explain why they forced their way in there in such a way that they trampled people. And you know, you can see at the beginning, like I said, as the crowd tried to part, it was like they went into the people rather than going into the space. So to me, it looked like they were actually trying to provoke more of a confrontation. Maybe they got sick and tired of having to stand there doing nothing, facing, you know, thousands and thousands of hippies who wouldn't move. And they decided, maybe let's just bring this to a head, and then we can, you know, arrest people and kick them out, or I don't know what. Oh, and if you're wondering what happened to Benjamin Dichter, well, apparently he tweeted that he was leaving Ottawa. He was going to be on Tucker Carlson and then disconnect for a few days. And the other protesters didn't take very kindly to that. They said he was a coward, and that they had lost respect for him. So even though all this happened with the police today, the protest didn't end. As of 2 hours ago, the live streams were still going, and the cops are still standing around. So, I mean, it's not over. Still basically having a standoff. Oh yeah, and there's there were snipers. There were snipers on the roofs too, which you could see easily in the footage from the live streams. So the protest is not over. Yeah, so Lara is back down tonight at the protest for the third time. She decided to make another trip. So I hope she's okay. Stay safe, you know. And I guess she's going to let me know after what she saw. And I'll get back to you on that. But, you know, yeah, it's a very weird situation. 6 out of the 11 premiers said that they did not want the Emergency Measures Act applied to their province. There's a lot of opposition to it in Parliament, except for the NDP, who says they don't really see the reason why it's needed, but they're going to support the Liberals anyway. That's what Jagmeet Singh says, so disappointed in Aquaman. He's just Justin Trudeau's bitch, pretty much. Yeah. So even though the Liberals have a minority, because of the undying support of the NDP, it's like they have a majority, unfortunately. So it looks like Trudeau has seized power, taken power away from the provinces. He says it's only going to be, geographically limited. That's what he said. But then when they read the bill in Parliament, when they read the act or his proposal or whatever, they discovered that it was geographically limited to all of Canada. And he says it's going to be limited in time. It's supposed to last for 30 days and then it has to be renewed. But with his good friend Jagmeet Singh by his side, I'm pretty sure that the NDP and Liberals will push for renewal again, and maybe again and again and again. And I don't know how we'll ever get out of this. It's very dangerous, the amount of power that they've taken. Let's just hope that they do give it back at some point. And as for what's happening in Ottawa, it seems that actually it might just pour a lot of fuel on the fire. Oh, and one last thing. Besides the fact that they still haven't left Ottawa, there's more people coming. Maybe some people left, maybe they arrested some people, but I'm seeing posts from people in Quebec, truckers, construction workers, all kinds of people saying that they're sending reinforcements. So it's not over. Anyhow, that's how it went today. And, thanks for joining me. And thank you for your support also. I don't think I can run an ad with this video. I don't know. But if you want to hit me up, I got my virtual Starbucks cup there in the chat window if you're joining me in the chat, or on Patreon if you like what I do and you want to support my work. Thank you. And thanks for joining me in the chat. And thanks for listening to me. And I'll see you next time.